Hi, it's Lori from Coast to Coast Craft Girls coming to you from the West Coast. Today I wanted to share a little Valentine's basket that I made. Um, it's a little paper basket I made with just some white stamping card and some pattern paper and nesting dies. This is based off of a craft along that Jan did on Crafters TV a long time ago. It was with the Sunflower collection. So if you search under craft alongs with Jan and Sunflower, you'll find it. And the basket's based on that craft along. But then within the basket, I'm going to put some candy in there, but I haven't done that yet. I've got some little paper fortune cookies, and they've got little fortunes inside of them. I don't know if you can see that. I'll show you how to make those. And along with that, I've got a little box that has a puzzle in it. And it's a heart-shaped puzzle using the heart-shaped die. And I made the paper with the shaving cream method that Debbie Robinson always does or shows us how to do. It's very messy, but a lot of fun. Okay, to make the little fortune cookies, you take a 4-inch circle of paper, and you can use your nesting die or a circle cutter or whatever. Just flip it over, put a little dab of glue at the top, and you're going to fold it over and glue it. Don't crease it though, just kind of hold it like that, make like a little taco. Just let that glue grab. Then you're going to take your message, which I just stamped onto some white card. It's actually, this is the thicker stamping card. Probably would have been better to stamp onto a lighter weight, like a paper. And this is a fairly, let me grab a different one. It's a fairly lightweight paper. It's not a cardstock. You can use cardstock. It's a little bit harder to manipulate. You just slide your message in. So just like that, get it kind of centered in there. Then you're going to take your finger, just kind of push your fingernail into the middle, grab the corners, and bend it down while letting that back part fold down. And then you're going to put a dab of glue right in here. And then you want to hold it shut until that glue dries. So you can hold on to it, but I just have some little quilting clips that'll just hold it. And that's it. Okay, so let's get started making that basket. So we start with a A4 piece of card and trim it down to 11 inches. So it's 8 1/4 by 11. So if you had an A4 piece of card, you're going to trim about 3/4 of an inch off that way, and the full width this way. But if you don't have that, if you have an 8 1/2 by 11, just trim 1/4 off. So you have 8 1/4 by 11. Then we're going to take our scoreboard, and on the 8 1/4 side, we're going to score down at 2 3/4 and 5 1/2. So that makes, you're basically cutting it in thirds. Oops, shoot. You're basically scoring it in thirds. So you have 3 equal sections. Okay, then you're going to flip it around this way, and you're going to score at 1 1/4, two and a half, and 3 3/4. So you're going to make basically every 1 1/4 inch 3, and then flip it around and do the same thing on this side. So 1 1/4, 2.5, 3 3/4. Okay, that's all the scoring. Then you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut each of these 1 1/4 inch score lines from the end to the score line, but not beyond. So just right here. On all 9 sections. You can use your paper trimmer. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and score it or fold it because I think it's going to make it easier to see. I think that's going to make it easier to see. Just cut right up that score line. Same thing on this side. Now, for these center sections, you want to measure that, and it's 3.5. So you want to mark halfway between these two. So if that's 3.5, half is 1 3/4. So we're just going to put a little mark there, and same on this side. It's 3.5, so come up to 1 3/4, and just put a little mark. Now you can take your paper trimmer or your scissors, and you're going to cut from that mark down to that. Just like that, and on both sides. So you're going to cut that away. And it looks like that. So each of these is 1 1/4. And then each way this way is 2 3/4. So 2 3/4, 1 1/4. You're going to mat and layer each of these pieces. So you want them, there's 18 pieces here that you need to mat and layer, and they're 1 1/4 by 2 3/4. And so however you want to mat and layer those 18, and these all 18 of these, so there's 3, 6, 9 on each side, they're all the same. So you just need 18 of the same thing. And then you need, if you want to do the triangles, the way I did it is I basically laid this on top of my paper and I drew around it, and then I cut it out, and then I just kind of cut off a little bit from each side just to make it a little bit smaller, because I thought that was probably the easiest way to do that. So when it's all mat and layered, it looks like this. Okay, so now we're going to glue this together. So we're going to put glue on, and you can see that I've already glued mine once and taken it apart. So it just goes to show it doesn't always work exactly the way you think it's going to. So put glue on both pieces. And then we're going to put this tab in behind so that that corner is just touching the triangle. And same with this one. So that front corner is just touching. So actually stick a clip on it and then you'll be able to see it better. There. So each of these corners is just touching that triangle. Like that. Okay. We're going to let that grab. Okay, and then we're going to go to the next one. Put some glue on the end. Then this one, I'm going to set so that the corners match up, and I'll show you in a second. Okay, so these corners right here are just touching the tip of that. And where that paper's messed up, I'm going to put embellishments on it anyway, so it's okay. So if you end up doing it and having to redo it like I did, it's all right. So then, and then we're on the last one. Put some glue on the ends. And we're going to tuck it in, this one first, so that it's just down and hidden behind the others, just like that. And then I'm going to stick this clip on the whole thing. And so, there you go. It looks like that. And that's your basket. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So this one, I haven't messed up yet. So we're going to start with this bottom pieces. We're going to go ahead and put glue on there. And remember we did this one till that corner was just touching the triangle. And same here. So this top corner is just touching. Let that grab. And this one, till those corners are just together. Right there. And right there. Oops. And you try and hold that together. Then these behind till they just sort of disappear. Right, so they disappear right at that corner. And then you put a clip on that to hold it. Okay, I'm gonna leave those clips on for a minute. Oh, actually that one's good. And then we're gonna put a handle on, and then we're gonna decorate it. So I cut a handle. This strip is 8 1/2 about by 1 inch wide, and I just put the red, and we're just going to kind of use our fingers to curve it. And then we're going to put that on the inside and just glue it to the inside. I mean, you could glue it on the outside if you want. And I think I'm going to put mine on the inside. So we need some tacky glue. And just going to center it in there. And you can make the handle as long or as short as you want, or as wide or as skinny as you want. I'm just going to put a couple quilting clips on there to kind of hold it. And we're going to spin it around and do the same thing on the other side. So. Like that. And then it's time to decorate. So we're just going to let that sit and dry for a minute while I get the decorations ready. Okay, and then for decoration, I've just got hearts. These are from the sort of scalloped heart nesting dies. And I just did the red in the small one and the white in the big one. And that's our basket. Isn't that cute? And it's relatively sturdy. I mean, you could do more decoration on the handle if you wanted with a bow or whatever, but I kind of like it just like that. Okay, so we're going to make our little heart puzzles, and we're going to start out by making the background paper. And I'm going to use a shaving cream method that Debbie Robinson does all this. So just get a dish or something to put the shaving cream in and put a good layer in there. Get a cookie tool out, and I'm going to get some paper towels because this is messy. And you just want to kind of get ready with something to scrape the stuff off with. I just have a scraper for my Cricut, but you can use anything. And you just want to smooth this out, sort of. I mean, it doesn't have to be smooth, but you want to. Actually, I'm gonna try. Use my scraper. You just want to get it kind of covering a piece or a section about the same size as your paper, because you're going to put your paper in there. Get your paper ready. I just have a sheet of white cardstock. You can use, it's probably best to use watercolor card, but I'm going to stamp on it, and I didn't want to use watercolor card because I'm going to make puzzles out of it, so I'm just using plain paper. And we're just going to scrape that off there. Okay. Now, you can take your sparklings, and I have pots of sparklings. You can use the sparkle pens if you want. And I don't know what happened to my little pipettes that came with it, so I've got a straw. And you just want to kind of drop some here and there. And obviously this is red. Okay. Now, before I spill that, I'll put the lid back on. And then I've got, this is pink champagne. I don't want to contaminate it with the red, so find something else to grab a paintbrush or something. I'm just going to dip it in the paintbrush and use that to hopefully find my little pipettes. I'll just sort of put some, okay, put the lid back on that one. And then I've got this one, which is Sleigh Bell. And as you can see, it leaked all over me. So you might want to put on gloves when you're doing this, but I did not. And so now my hands are going to be stained with this stuff. And this is a darker color, so I don't want too much of it. And just be prepared to get messy. Oh, that's probably pretty good. Now, you take your pokey tool or really anything, and you're just gonna draw patterns through the color. That looks pretty good. Now you're gonna take your piece of paper and you're just gonna set it down onto the shaving foam and push down. And every time you do this, you get a different result, and you really don't know what it's gonna look like until you do it. And we'll just pull it out of there. Oop, I didn't get that section. And as you pull it up, you can kind of see if you don't have anything on it. Okay, we're going to take our scraper and scrape it off. I'm going to move this so I can lay it down. And there's your shaving foam paper. Now I'm going to set that to one side to dry because it's wet, and I'm going to get another piece of paper and I'm going to do it again, because you don't want to waste all of that. So I'll be back with you. Set that there. Be back with you as soon as those dry. Okay, so my paper is dry and I've just cut a little piece from it. I'm going to stamp a sentiment on it, and then we're going to cut out a heart puzzle shaped puzzle. So let me get this on here, decide where I want it. Now, before I put my puzzle on there, I got to put some mount board on the back. To do that, I'm going to use some double-sided tape, or it's basically like a double-sided adhesive sheet, but it's just 5 inches wide, or 6 inches, 5 inches wide, I think. So let's just cut that off. I got that huge roll of double-sided adhesive on Amazon. Okay, piece of mount board. And I like the double-sided adhesive sheets for the puzzles because they're instant. It works well and it's an instant. You don't have to, it's not a wet glue, so you don't have to wait for it to dry. To cut my puzzles, I use the metal shim along with my two clear cutting plates and the plastic shim. So clear cutting plate, metal shim, then the puzzle face side down onto the mount board, plastic shim, top cutting plate. And then I run it through twice, once facing up and then I flip it over and turn it and run it again once facing down. The easiest way to tell if it has cut all the way through is when you open it up, before you take it off, feel the back of the puzzle. If you can feel a little bit of the metal around each of the cutting, then it's cut all the way through. If you can't feel the metal, put the sandwich back together and run it through again, and don't before you take it off the plates. And there's your finished puzzle. Now I want to make a little box for it, and I found this paper from an old Crafter's Companion 6x6 pad. But I wanted to make the box just 1.5 inches high by 2 inches across the bottom, so I cut each of the pieces to 5x5, and I'll make the top and the bottom exactly the same. So they're each 5x5, and we're going to score on all 4 sides at 1.5 inches.